What if our understanding of ancient civilizations is only a fragment of a much larger story? Across the globe, puzzling ruins, enigmatic artifacts, and surprisingly sophisticated engineering continue to spark debate among historians and archaeologists. From carefully aligned stone monuments to entire cities hidden beneath soil and time, these enduring mysteries invite deeper investigation rather than easy conclusions. How did early societies achieve such remarkable precision using the tools and knowledge available to them? Why do we see recurring architectural ideas in cultures separated by vast distances? Are these coincidences, shared human instincts, or the result of cultural exchange? And how much knowledge has simply been lost, eroded by time, conflict, and neglect? As new discoveries come to light, they often reshape what we thought we knew. Rather than contradicting science, these findings usually expand it, revealing that ancient people were far more skilled, adaptive, and interconnected than we once believed. The boundary between what we call history and what feels like mystery is not a wall, but a shifting line, gradually uncovering a past that is richer, more nuanced, and deeply human. Across the rolling green landscapes of Britain, where mist drifts low over the ground and the wind seems to carry traces of a distant past, vast and mysterious shapes are carved directly into the earth. These are the hill forts, ancient earthworks that remain among the most haunting and least fully understood legacies of prehistoric Europe. At ground level, they can appear deceptively simple, raised banks of earth paired with deep surrounding ditches, but from above, their true scale becomes clear. Immense geometric forms etched into the land, some stretching across dozens of hectares, rivaling the size of entire ancient settlements. They are not ruins in the traditional sense. There are no towering walls or standing buildings. Instead, they exist as impressions, subtle yet powerful traces of something that once held deep importance. Most date to the Iron Age, roughly between 800 BCE and the 1st century CE, though some may have earlier origins in the late Bronze Age, suggesting they developed gradually over time rather than appearing all at once. These sites are scattered across the British Isles, from southern England's chalk hills to the rugged terrain of Wales and Scotland. Their sheer number and wide distribution raise an immediate question: why did so many communities, separated by distance and landscape, invest so much effort into building structures so similar in form, yet so unclear in purpose? One of the most striking examples is Maiden Castle, a vast complex in Dorset covering around 47 hectares, one of the largest hill forts in Europe. Its massive ramparts, built from layers of earth and chalk, rise in sweeping curves, while its entrances twist inward through narrow, carefully designed passages that would have exposed attackers to defenders above. Nearby, Danebury Hill Fort offers a smaller but equally revealing glimpse into Iron Age life. Excavations there have uncovered roundhouse foundations, storage pits, and human remains, evidence that points not only to everyday living, but also to episodes of violence and possibly ritual activity. Interestingly, hill forts were never truly lost. For centuries, they remained part of the landscape. Farmers plowed fields within their boundaries, and shepherds walked their edges. It was only with the rise of systematic archaeology in the 19th and 20th centuries that their full significance began to emerge. Aerial photography transformed understanding completely. From the sky, archaeologists could see complex layouts, multiple concentric rings, elaborate gate systems, and carefully engineered defenses. What once looked like natural ridges or irregular terrain was revealed as deliberate, large-scale construction. Yet the more researchers uncovered, the more complicated the picture became. If these were primarily fortresses, where is the widespread evidence of constant warfare? Many sites lack clear signs of destruction, no extensive burn layers, no definitive traces of repeated sieges. If they were permanent settlements, why do some contain so little evidence of long-term habitation? And if they were mainly symbolic or ceremonial, why commit such enormous labor to their construction? The engineering alone is remarkable. Without modern machinery, and likely with only limited use of animals for hauling, communities reshaped entire hilltops. They dug deep ditches, piled up massive ramparts, and reinforced them with timber structures that have long since decayed. Some entrances were deliberately designed as defensive choke points, forcing anyone entering into narrow, exposed pathways. This level of construction suggests organization, planning, and social hierarchy, communities capable of mobilizing and sustaining large groups of workers over time. Inside these enclosures, archaeologists have found traces of daily life: grain storage pits, animal bones, pottery fragments, and post holes from circular houses. But they have also uncovered more troubling evidence. At sites like Danebury, human remains show signs of violent death: fractured skulls, broken bones, and bodies placed in pits rather than formal burials. Were these the victims of conflict, executions, or ritual practices? The evidence does not point clearly in one direction. To better understand hill forts, it helps to view them within a wider European context. Fortified settlements were common during the Iron Age. In regions like Gaul and Central Europe, large defended sites, often called oppida, served as centers of population and power. However, the British examples stand out for their density and diversity. Some are small, enclosing just a few hectares. Others, like Maiden Castle, are vast and layered with multiple defensive lines, more elaborate than what simple military needs might require.
This has led to the idea that hill forts were not only defensive structures, but also symbols, statements of power, identity, and control over the surrounding land. Several theories attempt to explain their purpose. One suggests they were centers of tribal authority, where elites managed resources, controlled trade, and displayed status. Another proposes they acted as temporary refuges during times of conflict, rather than permanent homes. More recent interpretations see them as social and ceremonial spaces, places where communities gathered for feasts, rituals, and collective events. It is also possible they served multiple roles over time, changing as societies evolved and external pressures shifted. One of the greatest puzzles is their decline. By the time of the Roman conquest of Britain, many hill forts were already being abandoned or used less intensively. The Romans, with their own network of towns and military forts, did not systematically destroy them. In many cases, they simply ignored them. This suggests that whatever role hill forts once played had already diminished. But why? What changed so dramatically that these massive, labor-intensive structures were no longer central to society? There are no written records from the people who built them. No inscriptions, no surviving accounts to explain their intentions. Everything we know comes from physical traces, soil layers, scattered artifacts, and patterns left in the landscape. That silence may be the most powerful mystery of all. It reminds us how much of human history remains incomplete, even in places as well studied as Britain. Today, hill forts remain as quiet features across the countryside. Grass covers their ramparts, sheep graze along their slopes, and visitors walk their paths, often unaware of the depth of history beneath them. But standing inside one, following the curve of its earthworks and looking out across the land, creates a powerful sense of connection to something ancient and unresolved. These were not random constructions. They were intentional, meaningful, and deeply important to the people who built them. And that leaves us with one final question. What did they truly represent? Were they fortresses built in response to fear? Centers of authority in a fragmented world? Sacred spaces where communities came together through ritual and tradition? Or were they something more complex, multifunctional landscapes shaped by defense, identity, and belief over generations? The hill forts of Britain do not
Rising sharply from the cold, shifting waters of the Atlantic Ocean, Skellig Michael feels less like a typical island and more like something set apart from the natural world. Rugged, unforgiving, and strikingly remote, it lies about 12 kilometers off Ireland's southwestern coast. For millions of years, this twin-peaked rock has endured relentless winds, crashing waves, and the slow force of time. What makes Skellig Michael truly remarkable, however, is not its geology, but the determination of the people who chose to build on it. Near its summit, almost 200 meters above sea level, sits one of the most extraordinary monastic settlements ever created, a place where faith, endurance, and mystery come together in ways that still puzzle researchers today. To understand Skellig Michael, you first have to face its reality. This is not a place that welcomes human life. Its slopes are steep and dangerous, its surfaces uneven and exposed. Storms sweeping in from the Atlantic are among the harshest in Europe, bringing powerful winds and towering waves that can cut the island off for long periods. There are no natural harbors, no fertile ground for farming, and no dependable fresh water sources beyond collected rain. Even now, reaching the island depends entirely on calm seas and precise timing. And yet, sometime between the 6th and 8th centuries, a small group of early Christian monks made the astonishing decision to settle here. At first glance, the choice seems almost impossible to explain. Why leave behind safer, more fertile land for such an isolated and vertical outpost? For these monks, though, the answer likely lies in a core idea of early Irish Christianity known as peregrinatio pro Christo, a voluntary exile undertaken as an act of devotion. In that sense, Skellig Michael was not simply a hardship, but a spiritual frontier where the boundary between the physical and the divine felt closer. What they built there is nothing short of extraordinary. More than 600 stone steps were carved directly into the rock, climbing in a narrow, zigzagging path from the sea to the summit. Worn smooth by centuries of use and weather, these steps cling to sheer cliffs where even a small mistake could be fatal. How such an extensive route was constructed with early medieval tools remains an open question, though it reflects immense effort and careful planning. At the top, the monastery itself consists of small dome-shaped stone huts known as beehive cells. Built without mortar using a method called corbelling, where each layer of stone slightly overlaps the one beneath, these structures form stable, self-supporting domes. Despite their simple appearance, the huts have survived over 1,000 years of Atlantic storms. Their interiors remain dry and surprisingly well insulated, a testament to the skill and practical knowledge of their builders, rather than any lost or mysterious technology. Equally challenging is the question of how construction materials were moved. Every stone had to be carried by hand up steep and exposed paths in conditions that could be dangerous even in calm weather. The scale of this labor suggests not only strong organization, but also deep commitment and shared purpose. If building the monastery was remarkable, daily life there was even more demanding. The monks lived in conditions that were undeniably extreme. With no land for crops, they depended largely on fishing, seabirds, and occasional supplies from the mainland. Rainwater was carefully collected and stored in stone basins. Life offered little comfort. Everything was shaped by scarcity, isolation, and exposure to the elements. Yet the site was not short-lived. Evidence shows that a small community remained here for several centuries, raising questions about what sustained them: faith alone, or a combination of belief and practical survival strategies. Some historians suggest the monks may not have stayed year-round, possibly leaving during the harshest winters. Others argue that enduring hardship was central to their purpose, transforming physical struggle into spiritual discipline. By the 12th or 13th century, the monastery was gradually abandoned, likely due to a mix of changing climate conditions, shifts in church organization, and the ongoing difficulty of maintaining such an isolated settlement. For generations, Skellig Michael slipped into relative obscurity, remembered mostly in local tradition. Serious archaeological study came much later, revealing a site preserved to an extraordinary degree. Excavations uncovered not only the stone huts, but also small chapels, terraces, and carefully designed water collection systems. Artifacts such as pottery and everyday tools offer glimpses into monastic life, but many details remain uncertain. Unlike larger monastic centers in Ireland, Skellig Michael left behind very few written records, forcing historians to rely mainly on physical evidence. The island is often compared to other early Christian monastic sites. In Ireland, places like Glendalough provided isolation, but still within accessible valleys. Farther away, desert monasteries in regions such as Wadi Natron reflect a similar desire to withdraw from society. Even so, those environments were far less extreme. What sets Skellig Michael apart is the intensity of its isolation. It represents not just separation, but near complete detachment from the everyday world, one of the most radical examples of monastic life ever attempted. Despite decades of research, many questions remain. Was it purely a Christian foundation, or did it continue earlier traditions that saw remote landscapes as sacred spaces? Its dramatic form and isolation could easily have inspired reverence long before monks arrived. There are also uncertainties about the size and structure of the community. How many monks lived there at once? How exactly were they supplied? What rhythms shaped their daily lives? With limited records, much of the story remains open to interpretation. More broadly, Skellig Michael raises questions about human motivation itself. Why undertake such immense effort in such a hostile place? The answer may lie in a worldview very different from our own, one where the boundary between the physical and spiritual worlds felt far more fluid, and where the edge of the known world was not something to fear, but something to seek. Today, Skellig Michael is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and has gained international attention through films like Star Wars: The Force Awakens and Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Yet its cinematic role only hints at its deeper meaning. Long before it appeared on screen, it stood as the setting for one of the most remarkable human experiments in history. A place where a small group chose to test the limits of existence in pursuit of something beyond it. In the end, Skellig Michael remains a paradox. It reflects both human vulnerability and resilience, a place where devotion and extremity nearly merge. Its stone steps still rise toward the sky, its silent structures still face the sea, and its questions remain unanswered. And perhaps the most haunting question still lingers. Was Skellig Michael an escape from the world or an attempt to reach beyond it?
Long before the rise of the great ancient empires, before the pyramids of Egypt reshaped the skyline, or the ziggurats of Mesopotamia defined sacred space, an immense stone structure was already taking form along the windswept coast of Brittany in what is now France. Today, it is known as the Barnenez Cairn, a monument so ancient, so massive, and so unexpectedly sophisticated that it continues to challenge our understanding of prehistoric Europe. Built roughly between 4500 and 4000 BCE, Barnenez predates the Great Pyramid of Giza by well over 1,000 years. And yet, despite its age, it carries a sense of complexity that feels almost unsettling in its precision. Rising above the Bay of Morlaix like a silent presence carved from the landscape itself, the cairn stretches about 75 meters in length and contains more than 13,000 tons of stone. From a distance, it can easily be mistaken for a natural hill shaped by time and erosion, but up close, its true nature becomes unmistakable. This is not geology, it is deliberate construction, organized, planned, and executed with remarkable coordination at a time when no metal tools or written systems are known to have existed in the region. Its location immediately raises questions. Why build such a monumental structure here, exposed to Atlantic winds and far from the major prehistoric population centers we typically associate with early settlement? Some researchers suggest the site may have held symbolic or spiritual importance, positioned deliberately as a boundary space between land and sea. Others interpret it as a territorial marker, a statement of presence and identity by communities whose names and stories have been lost. But the real complexity lies beneath the surface. Barnenez is not a single mound. Hidden within its mass are 11 passage graves, each constructed as a carefully engineered chamber combined by narrow stone corridors. These chambers were built using corbelled vaulting, a technique in which stones are gradually layered inward until they form a stable roof without mortar or reinforcement. Despite their simplicity in material, these structures have endured for more than 6,000 years.
Their design suggests careful planning rather than improvisation. The consistent geometry and structural stability imply a deep understanding of construction principles. How did Neolithic builders achieve this level of accuracy without formal mathematics or written instruction? Was this knowledge passed down slowly through generations of practice? Or does it reflect a broader Neolithic architectural tradition that we are only beginning to understand? Inside several chambers, archaeologists have found engraved markings carved into the stone, abstract shapes, axes, arcs, and wave-like patterns. These are not casual decorations. Their repetition and placement suggest intention. But intention of what kind? Were they symbolic expressions tied to ritual beliefs about death and ancestry, or part of a visual language whose meaning has been lost over millennia? The purpose of Barnenez itself remains open to interpretation. It is often described as a collective burial monument, yet the number of human remains discovered is surprisingly limited compared to its immense size. Some chambers show little to no evidence of repeated burial use. This has led to alternative interpretations. Perhaps Barnenez was not solely a tomb, but a ceremonial landscape, an ogli where rituals connected the living and the dead over generations. The long stone corridors, enclosed chambers, and symbolic carvings together create an experience that feels less like simple burial architecture and more like a guided passage through stages of meaning and memory. Modern excavations have also revealed that Barnenez was built in at least 2 major phases. An earlier structure was later expanded and enclosed within a larger cairn, preserving the original core rather than replacing it. This suggests cultural continuity, an awareness of earlier builders, and a deliberate decision to integrate their work into a larger design. But this raises another question. How was such continuity maintained in a society without writing? Oral tradition alone may not fully explain the precision with which the later builders replicated and extended earlier architectural choices. When compared to other Neolithic monuments across Europe, such as passage tombs in Ireland or chambered cairns in Scotland, Barnenez stands out not only for its early date, but also for its scale and architectural ambition. Sites like Newgrange show similar symbolic complexity, but Barnenez remains one of the earliest and largest known examples of monumental stone architecture in Europe.
And yet, despite its importance, it is less widely known than sites like Stonehenge or Newgrange. Its story is still only partially told, its meaning still debated. Perhaps that is what makes Barnenez so compelling. It has not been fully absorbed into a simple historical narrative. It resists closure. Instead, it stands as a physical reminder that early human societies were capable of far more than we often assume. So what are we really seeing when we look at Barnenez? Is it simply the achievement of a Neolithic community experimenting with stone, memory, and ritual? Or does it reflect a deeper, more continuous tradition of knowledge that has been partially lost to time. In the end, Barnenez offers no final explanation. What it leaves us with is something more unsettling and more valuable: uncertainty. Uncertainty about the limits of prehistoric capability, uncertainty about how knowledge was transmitted before writing, and perhaps most importantly, uncertainty about how much of human history still lies hidden beneath layers of earth, silence, and time. Because if a monument like this could exist, vast, precise, and enduring, then what else might still be waiting, quietly buried beneath our assumptions of the past?